Chicken dinner, getting you ready for Championship Sunday. Joe Ostrowski, Sam Panayotovich with you. Sam, I gave you shit the other day, and I said, you know what? You're going to go back to that Bills well. You're going to bet on a Josh Allen Super Bowl. After seeing the clips from that owner, Pegula, today, I'll beat your ass if you bet on the Bills to win the Super Bowl. That organization stinks from the top, and without being a local and without hearing much from the owner in the past, I didn't really know that was the case. Josh Allen is holding the entire organization on his shoulders.
I get emails every day from WGR in Buffalo, the AM sports yacker, and every email is about ownership or the GM or the fallout or the comments or he said or he said or he said. I'm good, man. I'm good. And then you see some of the names that they're interviewing for head coach, Lou Anarumo. Ugh, I don't know. I think that's a really good way to put it. Josh Allen was keeping everything together. And we did bear bets today, and we didn't get a chance, the three of us, to react to the NFL. And Jeff was like, well, I don't know if it was a catch or not. It doesn't really matter. I think one person could easily look at that moment in overtime on the deep throw to Brandon Cooks. Was it a catch? Was it not? It's like the Zapruder film. We're never going to get the full answer, but you can't turn the ball over 5 times and win a playoff game. So I still, like, I'm more frustrated that they lost closely in a game that they turned it over so many times, but that team is just broken. I mean, the franchise has been broken for a long time. This regime, though, is never going to get another chance without Mahomes and Burrow and Lamar as long as Josh Allen is in this league. That's never going to happen again.
No mirrors in that house. Bean is failing up. They're just pointing the finger everywhere. And to call out Keon Coleman as being an absolute bust and saying that was McDermott, that's not my guy over here that's failing up in the organization. I thought that was hilarious. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good on Bills. Remind me too, in case I start talking stupid. Totally good on Bills, not doing any of that moving forward. We're going to break down Championship Sunday. A couple great guests coming up today. We've got our friend Kelly in Vegas dropping by, and then Ian Hartitz. I know he'll have a bunch of props for you for Championship Sunday as we break that game down. What are you laughing at?
I guess we should bring this up because it's been in the news. Somebody sent me a clip of You Better You Bet. And it's the day after the Bills beat Jacksonville. And the host says, Buffalo's time. And I'm like, Jesus, man. Like, why? Why do you have to do that? And then they lose the very next game.
He also said you're wasting your money if you bet on the Bills earlier.
Well, it's hard to
which ended up being true.
These days.
It's hard to keep
track.
It
is funny though. Like, you finally get there. You finally kick the door down and get to, oh, this is a nice path. And then the next game dead.
YouTube at betchickendinner. Subscribe there. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching this video right now. Jump in on the comments. I know Sam will have a question for you guys to check in on. Comment with the rest of the coop. Doing well. Very excited about the growth of the YouTube page. That's what some people were asking. Like, do you guys want podcasts more or YouTube growth? Or like, what are you looking to do? Yes, above, everything. I know some people that are very kind to us are like, I let the YouTubes all roll and I listen to the podcast as well. So all of it helps, but it's growing. And are we setting a Super Bowl goal? We're still a few weeks away. Do we have one?
We've already hit a bunch of the goals that I had internally. So yeah. I feel good. I don't want to overshoot on something. We're definitely doing well on the merch goal. Oh, by the way, before we get into Championship Sunday, we had a lot of really close guesses on the final score of the title game Monday.
You started texting me all these scores that were in the running. You're like, which one won? Oh God, I don't know.
We had 5
let's get Felder's calculator for a moment and figure this thing out.
So the 5 closest predictions: 28-20, 27-24, that was guessed twice, 27-23, and 28-18. Of course, the final score, Indiana 27, Miami 21. I want to shout them out one by one since we do have the time here. We're not against a clock or anything like that. Mikey had 28-20, Indiana. JT had 27-24. Katie Funk had 27-24.
Damn.
Eric had 28-18. And then DJ Chapman on YouTube had 27-23. So he's the closest for sure on YouTube. But did you see our guy Glenn on X? Did you see what he did?
Mm-hmm.
He predicted the exact final score, 27-21 Indiana, but he did it on X, not on YouTube. I'm still going to send him merch.
You are.
Yeah, you
get a baby blanket for that if you can't follow the rules.
He got it exactly right. If he said 27-22, I'd throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
But he got it exactly right at 27-21. Did he put it in the right place? No. But to nail it head on, he's going to get one too.
Okay. That's certainly fair. The Blue Book usually has those exact scores for big events. I wonder if you just like put $5 on that thing. That is ridiculous to hit that exactly. And it's not the most popular score in the world too. So good idea to give out some merch, a hoodie to the closest to the final score. And it sounds like we're giving a few out. We got to get Lawrence his, just handing out merch left and right. But a lot of people are checking in. Mine should be arriving. I'm sure by the time we do our next show coming up on Sunday or Monday, that will be arrived by then. So at betchickendinner over on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, get in those comments, reply to the question that Sammy has for you today. AFC Championship game. Let's start there. The market still hasn't quite settled. You can find it from 4.5 to 5.5. And the total, it's pretty much everywhere. It's 42.5. That has been bumped up a little bit, Sam. So a little bit of money coming in on the over after it opened at 41. We know this conversation starts with the Broncos QB situation. Where are you on this game? What is the most intriguing angle?
I'll end up on the dog for sure. It's so wild. Like, I hate to dismiss everything that New England has done to this point, and I'm going to sound dismissy. Not that that's a word or anything, but the easiest regular season schedule in 25 years. And then you take on the Chargers with no O-line and CJ Stroud, who threw 4 or 5 interceptions. It's like, that can't all be New England. There's a lot of good fortune there. And look, their defense was really awesome in the last game and very opportunistic, like those middle 2000s Bears teams that just kept turning you over and, capitalizing on other teams' mistakes. And now they get Jared Stidham, right? Of course. Not Bo Nix, Jared Stidham. And we did get a question. One of our followers on Twitter asked about the drop-off, which I'm pretty sure we discussed on the last show. That's from Dave Schillinger. He asked about, the drop-off. And I don't have it 6 points, but the market does, because I've got New England 2 points better on a neutral. So I think this true line with Knicks is Denver -1. And now, as you see on Odds Logic, we're 4.5, 5, 5.5. That's saying the drop-off is 6 points, and I'm not there. Odds makers tell us, or told us, at least in the offseason, Mahomes to his backup, Allen to his backup, Burrow to his backup is 7. So now Knicks to Stidham is 6. Math ain't math in there, Joe.
Yeah, we talked about it on Sunday night as well. But it doesn't mean that Stidham is just going to be a nothing, because that could be in the cards, even though they're at home, where he could just give you a nothing effort. We've seen very little out of this guy. And, that Denver defense was a bit disappointing in the last game. Now, that's an elite offense. I get it. But you know what? The Patriots have been an elite offense this year. I'll tell you, man, the sides on these two games are very tough. I will probably be with you on the dog. I can understand that. I think the NFC game is more challenging, but talking about this game right now. So one thing that I've been bringing up to you a couple of times is, man, this Patriots defense, especially in these 2 playoff games, what they did against Houston, was that more Stroud? Was that more the Patriots defense? And also what they did against the Chargers and Herbert and that beat up offensive line. You watch this entire season play out. They have not played this well. So are they going to play to this level on that side of the ball for a third straight game, this time on the road? Yes, probably a poor quarterback, not the best, right? I don't know. I do question that a little bit. A trend for you. Home dogs, 4 or more in the playoffs over the last 50 years. They are 9-0 against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
That's a monster one that's going around. But then I could also bring up and say, man, Broncos coming off an overtime game. That's a bad spot. The Rams are going to be in that exact same spot, but the Rams are going to be on the road for the third time in a row. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. What concerns me about backing Denver, the one thing that really jumps up, and it isn't so much Stidham, it's the big explosive pass plays that the Broncos have given up. Like sometimes they don't look like a top-notch defense. Now, with that home crowd, I am expecting that. Obviously, everything on the line, going to get that best effort. But offensively for the Patriots, they have the second highest ADOT, average depth of target. And then on the defensive side, the Broncos, they have the second highest. So I am wondering a little bit about that deep ball. We saw it a few times from May. May has not played great. He has not played great in this playoffs. They haven't needed it because the defense has been stepping up. I'll be with you on the dog. Do you have anything on the total? Because this is an extremely low number, even though it's been bumped up to 42.5. I wish I got a sub 42 number. But I think there's going to be more scoring that people expect. I would go over on that low number.
Nothing on the total. This will be a little unconventional, but with a total of 42 or 42.5, and I can tease Denver to 11.5. It's something I've certainly thought about. I don't know if I brought it up on our show, but on one of the shows that I do, both dogs up. You give me Stafford plus 8.5 and the Denver defense at home plus 11.5. I know that the math guys are going to say, oh, you can't tease through 10. Fuck off. Yes, I can. Watch me. Watch, because they all say that. All the sharp guys, you can't tease through 10. Why not?
Getting more points is bad. Huh?
It's not enough key numbers. 7, well, not to mention 6, 7, 10, 8. 11.
8's popular now.
Yeah, sure. So that's sort of where I'm at. And I have nothing on the total. I will read you one more trend since we gave a Denver trend. The Patriots have been really good as a favorite this year. So as a favorite of 3 or more, Drake May is 12-0 straight up and 10-2 ATS. They're winning those games by an average of 16.3 points per game. They're also 7-1 ATS on the road this year, New England.
Whew. All right, we'll get to our best bets later on in the show after we talk to our guests, had the mailbag and all that. But you see where we are. I think our regular listeners are not surprised. Like they knew we're not laying it with New England in this spot.
No,
sorry. It's been interesting, the movement though, right? Because immediately it went to 5.5 when the lines were posted, and then we were like, man, is this thing going to 6? Is it going to go beyond 6? And at some spots, it's gone in the opposite direction. So you had that resistance immediately.
Yeah. I was hoping for a 6, and it never quite got there. Maybe at one stale shop, it got to 6. My buddy Rackjack was looking to get a 6. Maybe he did get one, but he's playing in the islands and all that, so he can get, a couple things. He can buy points and all that kind of stuff. So I know some sharp people on Denver, and you bet your ass the public's going to be on New England here.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's go to the NFC Championship before Kelly in Vegas hops on. We've got the Seahawks laying 2.5. The total has not budged all week, 47 in the hook. Seeing this game for the third time this season. They split in the regular season. The way those games went, maybe a bit of a surprise with the final results, but both very close games, and this number is inside of a field goal. Sam, I mentioned the Rams are in a tough spot. They've got the rest disadvantage because they played obviously Sunday night against the Bears. They're coming off the overtime game. They've had, now this is going to be their third straight road game in the playoffs, while the Seahawks just had the one game so far, and it was pretty much a breeze against San Francisco.
Well, the market is telling us that these two teams are equal on a neutral, right? I mean, isn't that where we're at? And I saw Jeff Sherman put out some look-ahead numbers on the Super Bowl. What would the lines be if this team played that team? And, we're talking about a Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl would be Seattle 3.5. And then a Rams-Patriots Super Bowl would be LA 3.5. So obviously the only reason the Seahawks are favored because they're at home. But you have a quarterback that knows how to come through in big moments, a quarterback who's won an MVP, a coach who's won a Super Bowl against Sam Darnold. Now, it's a lot more complex than that, naturally. But, I mean, Joe, these games in the regular season were decided by 1 and 2. 1 point, 2 points. Why would it be anything different round 3?
It shouldn't be. And the team that's favored is going to come up again and again. It doesn't matter that he got his playoff win against San Francisco and they did it in convincing fashion. Sam Darnold didn't have to do anything in that game.
Yeah, we don't know how healthy he is.
We don't know. 12 for 17 for 124 yards in that game. Kenneth Walker rushes for 3 touchdowns, opening kickoff for a touchdown. Like, he was not tested at all. And in these 2 games that you were just referencing how close they were, Sam Darnold has 6 interceptions against his defense. So could he have another bad game? Could he I don't think 4 interception game, but in the good Darnold game, he still had 2 picks with his 2 touchdowns. So I think that's in question. When people bring it up, I totally understand, especially when you're talking about Stafford and what he's done against this team. There was a game he threw for almost 500 yards against Seattle, the game that they lost. How crazy is that? So this Rams offense, yeah, Seahawks are a great defense, but they can get to this Seahawks defense. So are you thinking side or total? Again, Seattle minus 2.5, total 47 in the hook.
I'm probably on the dog here as well, which it is what it is. I'm a dog guy. Our next guest, I know, just did a podcast with a bookmaker, so I'm sure she has some wisdom from behind one of the counters in Vegas. What do you think most parlays are going to be? I think there's a very obvious answer, and I've seen a ton of this online already.
Well, over, of course, in this.
No. Just the most popular sides in both games. Like, they're going to parlay Team A and Team B. Who's A, who's B in both games?
Yeah, I think the consensus is the Seahawks are the best team left. So It will be Seahawks to Patriots.
Yes, I would love to be a bookie. I'd book all that shit. I'd book every Seahawks Pats money line parlay, knowing full well that there's a good chance one of them is going to lose.
Yeah. Did you look at anything else in this game? Any props grab your attention or you think worth discussing?
Puka, 93.5 yards receiving. It's high. I also would like to point out in the last meeting that turned into a track meet, Puka had 225 yards. So if you're, what's the opposite of, well, let me put it this way, like an ambulance chaser, right? If you're a stat chaser, you look at the last game and go, oh, right? Oh, Puka's only 93.5. Well, last game he had 225. That's only going to get bigger. And by the time we get to kickoff, that Puka number is going to be closer to 100. I don't think it gets to like 98, 99, but there's no reason to rush. I mean, we're doing this on a Wednesday. It's not going to get lower than 93.5, I don't think, on Puka.
That's down from the Bears game.
I know.
Which
98, 99?
Yeah, the crazy elements too. It was freezing and there was wind. It was much higher. So he got in the 50s. So he got around half of that. Didn't do much, but he did have a big catch in money time. But Puka, not interested there.
After a guy beats you, after he beats you for 225, you better erase him the next game, or at least plan to.
It's got to be everything that you're talking about, right? And, he had a big game against Carolina, then not so much against the Bears. So it comes down a little bit, but I don't know that it comes down enough. Darnold for an interception, minus 146 is the best price out there. You're not getting any sort of a bargain with Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet out. So Walker's been hot. Like, they've been leaning on him a little bit. 85.5, Sam. 85.5, minus 165 for an anytime touchdown. No bargain there. 19.5 rushes. He has not had 20 rushes all year. And they set this number at 19.5 because they know with the Charbonnet injury and the way they've been leaning on him a little bit, people are going to bet that. I would go longest rush if I'm going for a Walker bet, 16.5. He went well over that in both these matchups, and I think he's going to get the opportunities there. So that's where I would take a look. Anything else on this game worth addressing? I'll tell you, the only reason I understand why you are thinking Rams, but the only thing that bothers me about Rams is this is a tough spot. 3 straight road games. Really is.
Sure, but I do trust McVay and I trust Stafford. Look at me on the dog, and the star receiver under. What could go wrong, Joe?
Shocking. Very surprising. All right, here on Chicken Dinner, we bring in our friend Kelly in Vegas at Kelly in Vegas on social media. She's got stuff all over. Busy week for KIV.
Unmute.
Championship Sunday.
I'm unmuted. Listen, there's like 3 dogs that live in this house that bark constantly. Brett's in there making dinner. I'm like, I got to stay on mute in case like a pan crashes or a dog decides he wants to fight over a deer antler. It's been kind of chaotic since introducing a 3rd one to the house.
3.
How do you feel about 3? I didn't. Well, you had 3 at one point.
We had 3 when we lived in Vegas and when we moved to Florida. And then we started to obviously gradually lose. And then we've just subsequently been replacing. Like as bad as that sounds awful to say it out loud because no one is ever going to replace Coco in Vegas. She was the best dog ever. And Ryder certainly is not because he is a fucking gremlin. Like this dog, I'm like, come here and love me. He's like, I'll bite your hand. Look at my hand. This was because he decided I needed to feed him an hour earlier this morning. He just yanked my hand as I was walking to the kitchen. It's like, what are you going to do? That's why I don't have kids because I got dogs.
Have you convinced yourself that Sean Payton and Jared Stidham will figure something out this weekend?
Have I convinced myself? I don't think I need to convince myself of anything. I think that we can talk about during the regular season how injuries get overblown all the time. And now all of a sudden here in the playoffs, everybody wants to make it completely overblown. The reality is Sean Payton's an excellent head football coach. The reality is the Denver Broncos can play at an elite level. I heard you guys talking about that a little bit off. Last couple of weeks, last week in particular, not great. But they were playing Josh Allen and the Bills. Here's the real reality. Drake May regular season might not be Drake May in the playoffs. And I pissed off Patriot fans pretty big by saying, hey, silver lining, whether it's CJ Stroud or Drake May, after that, I think they'd both turned the ball over at least. I think Drake had fumbled and turned the ball over right and it going into half. And CJ had like 3 first half interceptions. I was like, hey, silver lining, this is who the Denver Broncos have to play. And everybody got mad, right? And that's just the reality. You're never going to be as bad as your worst game. Could Drake May go into Denver and throw 3 touchdown passes and have 240 passing yards and Denver gets beat? Absolutely. It's the NFL. But the reality is I do think that the drop-off between Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham is far too great. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. I am not a Bo believer. I might have grown up a Denver Broncos fan. There's a helmet right over my shoulder somewhere signed by a bunch of those guys. I don't know if the quarterback position in Denver is as important as everybody's stressing. I'll leave it at that. I think that the running game is going to be far more important with J.K. Dobbins back in the lineup. I think the offensive line being able to protect whoever it would have been under center is going to be important. And I think if Denver wins this game, it's going to be on the backs of their defense. It's going to be more fumbles from the Patriots or possibly interceptions from Drake May. John Murray tried to say, well, I think the receiver ran the wrong route. I'm like, oh, really? How many times did CJ's receiver run the wrong route? I mean, like, we can only blame it on opposing players not named the quarterback who threw the pass. So I do think that 5.5 is far too overblown. It's my favorite spread in the NFL, as you guys know from doing shows with me over the years. I always love to sprinkle a little bit on the money line. And I think that's where you got to look here. Take the 5.5. Look, I was on Pickett just a minute ago because I do love being able to look at their splits. 93% of the bets are on the Patriots. I mean, only 19,000 bet sample size because it's Wednesday. Only 19,000 bets. It's a small sample size. But like that many people have already put Patriots money line in every single parlay. So that what are they doing? Every NBA parlay, they're adding Patriots. It's like what I was doing with Indiana. Any opportunity I got to tease over the last couple of weeks, I was just throwing Indiana into the mix. Let me just throw Indiana in just in case I need a little bit more. And Indiana -1.5. They're doing the exact same thing here, except it's Patriots money line.
Yeah. Man. So it's one of those big event days, right? Like the biggest event days in sports. And you talk to Murray and you talk to other bookmakers all the time. Do you think it's one of the few days on the calendar? You say 93%. People are going to be betting both games. Even if they don't love it, they're going to bet it. Do you think there could just be so much Patriots money where we get a 6?
Ooh, I don't know. You guys had your odds logic screen open. I got to give you guys a little insight and how you should shift your books. So I like to have a couple of Vegas books at the front, the Westgate, Circa.
Don't tell me how to shift my books.
I'm going to let you know. Damn. I'm going to give you a little intel secret. The sharpest book on that odds screen, Amampola. Number 2, Bet War. Look at where those are at, really? And that's going to tell you where the market's going to go. So move everybody on over. You put a 5th, 6th, just put them in on your main grid. Those are where you want to look and see where the market's going to go. I don't think we see a 6. I don't think bookmakers will hang a 6. Here's the reality. John Murray said, I don't think Jarrett Stidham's going to be good for business in the Super Bowl. I go, was Nick Foles good for business? I mean,
doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters. You just mentioned it. It's the biggest event of the year. It's the Super Bowl. Fine. The Denver Broncos are going to be 8-point underdogs to either the Rams or the Seahawks. Does it really matter? I don't think it does. I think it's still going to get bet. And they may get one-sided action, but we all know the public has to win sometimes, and typically it is in the Super Bowl.
Sam, get your columns right. The hell?
I may know a guy at Odds Logic, and I'm just saying that this is what he told me. He said, Kelly, you want to have these 2 books at least in your peripheral. Obviously, I don't have accounts at either one, but it kind of helps you dictate where the market may or may not go. One of those is at, I believe it last I looked was at a 4.5. Oh. Let's see. Right now, we got a 5.5 plus 103 and a 4.5 minus 108. So I just don't. I don't think it gets to 6. I don't think they have a reason. Do they need Broncos money? What does their future book look like? That's a big thing that John's been talking about over the last couple of weeks, right? They needed the Bears, not only because they needed the Bears plus 3.5, but they needed the Bears to knock the Rams out for the futures book. You go to a different book, you go to an MGM, you go to a Caesars, you go to DraftKings, FanDuel, they're going to have a different answer because they book the games differently in the risk room at each book. So you're going to get different answers, I think, over the next couple of weeks. Who needs what?
To your point, though, you bring up the Pickett numbers. I don't think the appetite to bet New England is going to just evaporate Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, you will get some bets. You'll get some bigger limits naturally Saturday and Sunday, and those people are going to take this defense, I guess, with 5.5 or 5. I don't think we get to 6, but all these money line parlays, all these straight parlays are going to have New England on them. They just will, because they've covered all year and covered both playoff games. So if it's worked for me to this point, why would I stop?
Yeah, they're not jumping off this train now. They're not going to jump off the Seattle train either. Listen, I can't sit here and make a big case for Matthew Stafford and the Rams. You guys talk about player props, and I don't do a ton with them, but a lot of the stuff I've been doing on Splash with their quick picks has been fading Matthew Stafford because his passing yards is too freaking high, and it was dead on under the last 2 games, and that game-winning drive against the Panthers was the dagger. He got 66 yards there, and that was painful. But against the Bears, even in overtime, it really was no sweat. So there they are off back-to-back road games. Now they're going to go to Seattle. Sean McVay's been great against Seattle, but Seattle hasn't been great. Please remember their quarterback was Drew Lock or Geno Smith and Pete Carroll and so forth. This is a very different Seattle team. I'm not probably going to get involved here outside of that Rams teaser that I did on Monday with Indiana. I don't love a side here, but I can tell you a lot of futures books, especially at the Westgate, they're cheering for the Seahawks. They're leaving it at 2.5. He said, I'm not going to 3. Why? I want Seahawks money. They're booking it at minus 108 today. Day of the game, minus 105. That's how much Seattle money. They're saying, come on, bring it on in. We need the Seattle money. They want the Rams out so bad.
Yeah, but that's Joe. That's because they wrote a lot of Rams future stuff.
Yes,
because they always do. They always.
Well, do. When you're in Vegas, who are you going to get? You're going to get a ton of Chicago money because of everybody traveling out there. You're going to get a ton of Arizona and California teams. It's just the nature of the beast. You're going to get a ton of Raiders in whatever capacity each week. You're going to get whoever the Raiders are playing. You're going to get money on that opposite team.
Yep. Kelly mentioned Splash Sports. Give quick picks a try. Splashsports.com and the Splash Sports app. Use the promo code DINNER, and new users will receive a $50 deposit match. If it's your first quick pick slip, you get 100% profit boost. Promo code DINNER. Splashsports.com. All right, a little more on the game that's going to be bet very heavily. Rams, Seahawks. Are you going to do anything side or total yourself?
I just don't love the spot here. As I mentioned, Sean McVay, if you just look at it blindly, owns Seattle. But I don't know. This Seattle team just kind of seems, and I guess here's where my brain is like reminiscing, like that Super Bowl versus the Broncos with that same Seattle team, right? Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning. There's something about this team that kind of reminds me of that same team. Powerful defense, great running game, right? Zach Charbonnet tears his ACL. It's like they didn't miss a beat. I mean, I know that running backs are plug and play these days, but like, are they? Are they really? I mean, or does Seattle just have a two-headed monster there in the backfield? And congratulations to them. Sam Darnold gets a lot of flack because we all remember the guy seeing ghosts that played for the New York Jets. Can't possibly be good, but he was good in Minnesota. Here's the real reality. I think the fatigue of the Rams is like kind of in the back of my mind, right? East Coast, Chicago, now to Seattle. That 3-game road stretch does take it out of teams. I don't know, Sammy. Chicago looked miserable. Miserable. You guys, big Chicago guys. I don't know. I'm 42 years old. I'm the same age as Matthew Stafford. If I was getting the crap beat out of me on Sunday night in that cold weather, I don't know how well I'd feel come this Sunday. Just saying.
I love that you just added 5 years to Matthew Stafford's life.
Oh, I thought we were the same age.
It's about
No, he's 37.
Okay, well, sorry. Him, Aaron Rodgers, it's all kind of blurry there after at the end of the day. And please don't forget, all we heard all summer was, is Matthew Stafford healthy? Is Matthew Stafford healthy? Like every talking head, that's all they talked about. And it appears he's been healthy all year, but then there's these lingering things, his hand, his groin. There was like something else last week that I heard. Maybe it was like a rib or something. And I'm like, is the guy healthy or not? Well, your guess is as good as mine. But coming off that hard-fought overtime game, now to go to Seattle. Seattle does have the rest advantage, albeit it's not a ton, but 24 hours more than the Rams got. I don't know. That's just a game that I keep, my wheels are turning about, and I haven't said, yes, I'm going to get to the window. Probably take Matthew Stafford passing yards under again, though, on Splash Sports.
And I'll have the Puka under for sure.
Yeah, I did hear you say that. I did write that down, actually. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Just wait. It's only going to go higher.
Well, of course it is. It's only going to go one way. How can it not?
No doubt. Stafford over, Puka over. They're going to be very popular. I don't know if there's really anything else to cover on these NFL games, if you have something. I was going to ask you about your favorite like college basketball team that you're eyeing for a deep run. Do you have any of those teams yet or no?
So I did bet Iowa State 30-1. When was that? Sometime back in December. Now, hand up. I just started doing college basketball. And normally I do really try to wait until college football is over for really a few reasons. There's only so much time you have to give, right? Iowa State fit that bill back in December 12th. I bet at 30-1. You look at the Ken Palm top 15, start figuring out some net ratings. You got to figure out they're adjusted, plus their strength of schedule. And I said, I like this Iowa State team. I've enjoyed what they do. Let's see how they start to look here in the Big 12. Then they turned right around and lost 2 games to Kansas and Cincinnati. Had a nice bounce back last night versus UCF. I'd have to see, usually these odds are turned off during the game, so I do not see a futures market up right now to tell you guys what their current odds are. But I do think that the deepest conference is once again the Big 12. It's not the SEC. It's not the Big 10. It's the Big 12. And I'm looking for teams just like last year that hit the 3. Right now, Iowa State ranked 4th in Ken Palm at 3-point percentage, just over 40%. And of course, play absolute stack defense. Right now, they're currently number 8 over there. So that is who I bet. I think I might start looking to see if there's a couple other teams that are just like out there. But right now, because I'm just getting back into college basketball, just focusing on the usual suspects, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, and of course the Big 10. So maybe I'll start to add some Mountain West and and a couple of those smaller conferences into the mix. But right now I'm keeping it low, playing 1 or 2 games a night, just kind of seeing how things start to feel out. Every once in a while in January, I go on a nice college basketball run. Hopefully it's sooner than later.
All right. Very good. Kelly in Vegas at Kelly in Vegas over on social media. Check her out over there and check out the Kelly and Murray show, which she just wrapped up. You guys will have that up tomorrow?
That should be
Thursday?
up tonight if our producers work as hard as they claim to.
Here we go.
Should be up here in just a couple hours. No, all jokes aside, those kids work really hard and always try to get up the show on Wednesday nights. We're taking next week off. I already decided. I said, we don't need to talk about anything next week. What is there to talk about? I have to go get ready for the Super Bowl. We've got lots to do. Let me have a day off, John Murray. And he actually agreed.
Wow.
What a nice guy.
Vacation?
No.
Aruba?
I'm going to go to my dad's house and set up the greenhouse that I bought him for Christmas. That's what I'm going to do next Wednesday, like the great daughter that I am. And then we're going to take a lovely trip to the VA on Thursday.
All right. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck this weekend. All right, Kelly in Vegas there. Can't say I'm surprised that she's not because she's a homer at all, because if anything, she usually goes against her Broncos. But I don't think that there's going to be a lot of people that we hear from that we respect that are like, yeah, I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Patriots.
So that means the Patriots are going to win by 10, as they've done all season. I had to pull this up before we get to our next guest.
Yep.
The number 1 cover team in the NFL this season.
New England.
14-5 ATS.
Yeah. I told Lori yesterday, I said, I'm sick and fucking tired of losing money going against this team.
And they just keep doing it. And I think if you've taken a stance, because we've done this in the past, we did it with the 2016 Dallas Cowboys with Dak and Zeke as rookies. And we're like, this can't keep happening. And that year they finished 13-3 in the regular season ATS. And you're like, oh, okay. Your 2 best cover teams, by the way, New England 14-5, Seattle 13-5.
Yep. Sometimes that happens. Here on Chicken Dinner, it's Joe O. Sammy P with you. Let's bring in our friend Ian Hartitz, fantasylife.com. Follow him on social media at iHartitz. Are we over the Buckeyes yet?
Had to start there, man.
Dude, like the jersey's right over your shoulder. I wasn't even going to bring it up, and then I look at Cardale Jones.
Look, I'm as a lifelong, Bill Simmons fan, I do subscribe to his theory that when your team wins a championship, 5 years at least of no complaints. So very happy we had 2024. Look, if we hadn't gotten it done in Ann Arbor, I might be singing a different tune right now, but it is what it is. Congrats to Indiana.
And then you look up at the betting boards and Ohio State's right there on line 1. Now, most books have Ohio State 1 and Notre Dame 2. I don't know how much portal you've been following, but Notre Dame has been destroying the portal. Then you've got Indiana in there as well. And you're going to see some Texas with Arch Manning, but some books are saying your guys are still the team to beat next year, man.
They got older in the transfer portal, which is interesting because we've really seen that with each of the last 3 national champions. I know we've mostly only been talking about Indiana, and for good reason, everything they did. But lest we forget, I mean, Michigan and Ohio State, when they won, were both super, senior-laden teams that, when you're a bunch of 22-year-olds facing more 19 and 20-year-olds than not, you can kind of see that add up at the end. So we'll see with ND, guys. The last time they beat Ohio State was pre-World War II. So congrats to them for getting a couple of our backup wide receivers, but I'll see it when I believe it.
Still mad at myself. Like I'm a guy that plays long shots, and for the first month it was Indiana 100-1, and it was Mendoza 66-1 to win the Heisman. I'm like, let's see once the conference play starts. They're playing nobody right now. It was an easy schedule last year. That's why they made the playoff. Just like looking for ways to not buy in, but good on everybody that did.
We also had a director on BetSweats who
that
told
was a
us
problem. It's his fault.
He said Indiana wasn't going to win a single conference game. And then they quite literally went 16-0. So I think we had that sort of in the back of our brains, Joe. Like, they can't do that again. And then they were even better. So
yeah. And maybe they'll do it again. He's already working that portal as well. Signetti, they love to play for him. But let's jump into why you came. Let's start with what we think is going to be the more exciting game, the higher total, 47.5. We get Seattle and LA Rams once again. Last time it was a shootout. Just before you dive into player performances, what you're expecting, do you think we can get another one of those? Because the first game, it's kind of funky. They go under, it's 21-19. And then the second game, they go to overtime. Both teams almost get to 40. Like, what are you expecting for the third bout?
I'm thinking kind of rock fight, slugfest sort of game. I feel like when you get a team, squaring off with each other for the third time 1 year, they know each and everything there is to know about each other right now. And I know we saw it last time. Stafford went nuts against this very same defense, but just historically, kind of like the company that we are starting to see Seattle be with now. I mean, it is nuts, guys. Because personally this year, I knew they were amazing, but I didn't think they were necessarily a tier above the Texans or even the Broncos. But man, some of these numbers started to make me think that way. When you look at teams that, including playoffs, have led the NFL in the fewest yards per carry, and then also net pass yards per attempt, just including sacks, with regular yards per attempt. Only defenses since the new millennium to actually lead the league in both: your 2025 Seahawks, your 2015 Broncos, 2010 and 2008 Steelers, and of course the 2000 Ravens. So just their ability to wreak havoc and get all this pressure without even needing the blitz, man, I just think makes it so tough. So hey, if Stafford's going to go out there, hit another 4 or 5 no-look passes in the fourth quarter, and Puka goes for 200 plus, okay, it's going to be tough for any defense to slow that down. But just, man, I think, again, if we had to kind of go through this and rank best off, all right, take the Seattle offense and defense and the Rams offense and defense, I think that Seattle defense is the best unit in this game, probably followed by the Rams offense. But if there was a weak link, probably is that Rams defense. So I am leaning towards Seattle, and again, more of a low-scoring affair for the time being.
So then with the props, are you more of a pro Seattle guy or more of an anti-Ram guy? I know maybe you don't want to blanket things like that, but generally when you're handicapping a game, you do kind of split the atom in the middle, right?
I think I'm going off that game script of Seattle probably building a lead and coasting through it, man. Kind of saw that again during these last handful of just good wins that they've had to keep the season alive. So Sam Darnold under 235 passing yards for me. I mean, it's a mark that he hasn't even had 200 yards in the last 3 games. If we get the shootout, it'll look bad. I get it. But low key, guys, Darnold, I don't want to say he's turned back into a pumpkin or anything, but we're talking about the first, 2 months of the season. Numbers up there with anyone in the league. Since week 10, his EPA per dropback, I know it's a passing offense stat, maybe not individual, but that's kind of how every stat is. But he's literally only 21st in the league, only 1 spot ahead of 9 JJ McCarthy himself. So Darnold actually hasn't been playing as lights out again during the second half of the year as he was early on. And I just think, again, with Kenneth Walker and that run game actually grooving, we could see them being leaned on more than ever. So that would be my Seattle prop. For the Rams, though, again, kind of going in the idea that the Rams are going to be throwing the ball, playing from behind a bit. Kyren Williams only had 12.5 receiving yards, man, really popped off to me. He's cleared that number in 5 straight games, including the last time they faced off. Honestly, it's been surprising to me to see Kyren not be unleashed as a receiver kind of early on in his career, because that was kind of his calling card coming out of Notre Dame. So we've always known he has that ability, and it just seems like maybe with Devontae Adams coming back from injury a little slow, they're tapping into that a little bit more often. So Kyren over and Darnold under.
To your point about Darnold, it does feel like, especially lately, they don't want to put him in a position where he's going to lose the game for him. And they've seen him throw 6 picks against this defense. So that under, or any unders, maybe under on attempts, I think that's a pretty good look there. How about the Seattle backfield? What do we do with this Charbonnet injury? So naturally, a lot of people say, oh, Walker. Not getting a discount, man. Rush attempts, 19.5. He hasn't hit 20 all year. The rushing yards is at 85, 86, somewhere in that range. And then you've got to lay $1.65 for an anytime touchdown. Do we do anything with the Seattle run game?
I'm probably going to be staying away from those. I would just say, I mean, the rush attempts this year, it has happened where he's at all but, I think, 1 game with Zach Charbonnet. And then, that was that game where I think they were up 28 on the Saints or something after 1 quarter. So they didn't even have to keep their foot on the gas in that situation. So I would say, probably just thinking that Walker's going to touch the ball 20 plus times, as we have seen sometimes these condensed backfields. One guy disappears and the other guy just all of a sudden takes the lion's share of the work. Would feel especially good about that if George Halani is not going to be back in the picture, but I know he is actually, now having a chance to play as well. So it just sucks for Charbonnet, guys, because I was one of those just annoying fantasy people in the first month or two of the season saying, why is Walker not getting why is he not getting more work? Like, look how much better his stats are than Zach Charbonnet. And it wasn't even like the success rate, explosive play stuff. Like Charbonnet just really wasn't playing well during the first 2 months, but he's turned it up, man. Really, so is this entire Seattle Seahawks rushing attack. So obviously young offensive line, I think they've started to catch their stride, but again, almost a tale of two seasons where we've seen the Seahawks go from being super efficient passing the ball and not so much rushing to the opposite here down the stretch. So again, going to have to be more so K9's back, as opposed to Charbonnet here with him out of the picture. But I do think that Walker, again, if you had to make me pick, I'd still be taking his overs.
As for the first game, AFC, Patriots at the Broncos, where do you want to begin?
So looking at okay, I will say this. If you had a team and you just needed them to shock the world with their backup quarterback, what would be the two things that you really want them to have? Personally, I think it would be a big, awesome, badass offensive line. Broncos have that. One of the best in the entire league. We've seen them keep pressure off of Bo Nix all year. Running backs haven't been great, but when Dobbins was out there, man, which, hey, he did return to practice, I mean, they were paving the way for him. So the offensive line for the Broncos is a massive strength. And then, okay, what else? We want to dominate both lines of scrimmage. We need a good pass rush. And yeah, these guys just racked up the 5th most sacks in a single season in NFL history. So they have to blitz a lot more to get it. We can talk about Drake May in a second. I mean, he doesn't have really any weaknesses. It's driving me crazy all day. I'm trying to find, a way to actually, see this guy not rank inside the top 5 in the stat, and I just can't do it. But again, just everything else aside about the Patriots and the Broncos, I just think if you had to have an underdog pull an upset, you want them to be at home with a dominant defense that can get after the passer and an offensive line that can instill their will. And I do think the Broncos are checking those boxes. Who am I taking to win the game? The Patriots still, but I do think the Broncos will keep this one close.
Oh, so you're on Denver plus 5.5.
Yeah, I also heard you guys talking, saying it'd be it's the biggest square play to not take that. So I'm trying to stay.
Well, you also, I see when you threw out the two things you want, I was going to say defense and head coach. So if you wanted to complete that triangle, you're going to say O-line, pass rush, Sean Payton.
All due respect to a guy Mike Vrabel, go Buckeyes. I'd even say head coach is, a borderline wash out there. But, if we had to pick, probably Sean Payton. He's got the, Super Bowl title to his name and everything like that. Did a masterful job, kind of getting Sean McDermott fired last week as well. I mean, I know that game had to go into overtime, but, little Jordan Humphrey catches a touchdown on drive 1. They don't have half their wide receivers get injured. That game really didn't have to be that close.
What about the prop market in this game? It is a low total. Now it's gone up a little bit. We're sitting at 42.5, but it's expected to be a lower scoring game because yes, you do have an elite offense, but they're going up against an elite defense and you have a backup quarterback and Stidham stepping in. So what are you thinking there?
I have very little read on the Broncos side of the ball with Stidham. Hey, I will say he was the most efficient quarterback in the preseason this year, right? Him and my guy Drew Lock, shout out. So we got that going for him. But just, again, so many unknowns. He could obviously lay an egg. I'm kind of staying away from that side of the ball. With the Patriots, though, Drake May, obviously someone who's been killing defenses with his arm mostly, but also, as we know, can scoot out there. 30.5 rushing yards isn't a small number, but I do like his chances for getting to over. The Broncos actually run the 3rd most man coverage in the NFL for good reason. You got Pat Surtain, and even Riley Moss, as much crap as he gets. I mean, when you're facing, just so many targets game after game because people want to avoid Surtain. Of course, you go some numbers, but regardless of all that, I mean, we got defensive backs turning their back to the quarterback, and accordingly, I do think Drake May could get loose. So he's had 76 rushing yards during these last 2 weeks. Kind of a similar thing happening against the Chargers. So he's been taking a lot of sacks, and I would say that kind of has been his one kryptonite throughout this season. His pressure to sack rate hasn't been very good all season long, but again, if he's going to be getting pressured and the DBs are going to have their backs turned to him, I do like the Drake May rushing yards over.
I was just going to ask, okay, what's the May play? So you're going to say the pass rush gets home and then May creates with his feet. He's been also very good at throwing on the run too. Yeah. And the one guy he's really found a ton is Kayshon Boutte, who was a non-factor when Gerard Mayo was there. And I think Alex Van Pelt was the OC. It's funny how that works. You bring in Vrabel and you bring in McDaniel and it's like, oh, let's throw the ball to the guys that are good. And that's the guy who I've noticed May has found a ton on the run. So I hope you get your rushing over, but I also think if he does get outside the cabin, he's going to look for Kayshon Boutte down the field. He threw a beautiful pass last week and Boutte caught it with one hand for a touchdown. That's the guy he finds on the run.
That dude owns Derek Stingley Jr. I think I saw Field Yates throw the stat out there where Stingley's only given up like 4 pass completions thrown over 20 yards downfield in the last few years, and 2 of them have been by Kayshon Boutte. So, no, he's been fantastic, man. Obviously, I remember his last year at LSU didn't go the way he wanted, but has always had that talent. He's talked about in interviews just kind of getting his head on more straight here over the past years. So, awesome story there. Number 1 in the NFL in yards per target. So, we'll see what happens in New England, because it's one of those things where I would like to see, just because I like chaos and trades going down. Like the Mike Vrabel, AJ Brown reunion would be a lot of fun if they can make that happen. Brandon Ayuk, as we found out today, done in San Fran. But just Stephon Diggs, man, I know they haven't exactly had to lean on him a bunch this year, but he's looked fantastic coming back from the torn ACL. Kyle Williams, a young rookie who they haven't had to go to a ton. I mean, even Matt Collins, enough, with his, shoeless, not soup hating, cat hating, quirkiness and everything. But he's a big dude out there as well that can also do some good things. So Patriots just, again, it's like the Patriots and the Seahawks. I know we're focused on the championship games, but I've been writing some team need articles and stuff too. Like the fact that these guys are already so good, and then you look in the next year and like there's not even these major roster holes to speak of, and they still have a lot of cap space. I mean, we could be looking at these guys being back here this time next year as well.
You've got the Raiders hat, and I can't help but think about them owning that number 1 pick. And if you look at the odds, it's insane. Mendoza is minus 7,000 to be the number 1 overall pick. Will it be the Raiders? I don't know, but to go number 1 overall, they're saying it's a lock because the second favorite is Ruben Bain, and he's 50-1. What do you think about Mendoza's pro prospects?
Yeah, so I mean, and I'm with you there. I know I've heard some of those rumors. I think Jeremy Fowler actually shouted out on ESPN where some are wondering if the Ravens could actually be, shopping around Lamar to Las Vegas and trying to get that number 1 pick. Yeah, damn. That would be nuts, my friend. So, but I'm with you. Like if it's not going to be the Raiders taking Mendoza, someone else is going to be trading up there for him. So, no, I think he's good, man. I think the only concern is like, all right, what actually is this dude's top end ceiling? I've seen kind of the Jared Goff comps. I think a little bit of that maybe is the Cal helmet scouting, and it's just 2 tall white guys. So I think it's been, I think my favorite comp with it was like if Ryan Tannehill and Kirk Cousins had a baby, you know what I'm saying? Because like he's more mobile than Kirk Cousins. He's got a good arm, not a great arm. But I will say, if you just had to be like, what are Mendoza's superpowers? It's the pre-snap processing. I know the RPOs are different at the NFL level because the lineman can't block as far downfield, but just again, it seemed like the dude never made a mistake out there. And that's just the accuracy. I mean, my God, him and Charlie Becker, like just constantly hitting that back shoulder, man, really is just like a long handoff for them out there. So 2 very good traits. This again, my one concern is like, all right, if you're seeing these guys comping them to a Goff, a Matt Ryan, and Kirk Cousins, guys who have all been really good, but let's face it, outside of 1 to 2 kind of peak years, we're always more so considered around that 10 to 12, best quarterback in the league range. Like, I just feel like you're going to be bringing a knife to a gunfight when you get the true matchups against the dual threat aliens once, January comes around.
You brought up a handful of angles and bets. Do you have a favorite bet? Can you put a stamp on something for the crew?
I would say the Darnold under 235.5. The only other one I had written down, which is, a little bit more of a curveball, would be Austin Hooper over 9.5 receiving yards. If you guys are really trying to, degenerate up over here. But I will say, like the one weakness for Denver, if you just look at how they kind of perform against the position groups, it is the tight end room. And I think part of that is like, why am I going to test the wide receivers against Pat Surtain when I can look in the middle of the field? But, they were one of only, I think, 9 defenses to allow over 1,000 yards to tight ends in the regular season. And Dalton Kincaid just had a good game last week as well. So Hunter Henry's the guy, but man, just 9.5 for Hooper. I mean, he's cleared that here more times than not here recently.
All right, on the way out, you mentioned Patriots are winning, so you've got them representing the AFC. What is the matchup? What's going to happen?
I got the Seahawks, man. I think Stafford, I'm hesitant in putting too much stock in some of these splits that, are happening recently. Because, look, let's face it, offense gets tougher in the playoffs. We're facing only good teams at this point. But just, it's been a minute since we've seen this Rams offense clicking for 4 quarters in a row. In fact, I think it happened the last time they faced off against the Seahawks. So if I had full confidence in Davante Adams being Davante Adams, that'd be one thing. But, guys, like, it's amazing. Adams still, including playoffs, leads the NFL with 14 receiving touchdowns. No one else has more than 12. It's been 52 days right now since that dude's even caught a touchdown, though. So again, so much this is on Puka's back, and I'm not sure if they sell out to take him away, that Devontae is healthy enough to catch up. So give me Seahawks. I'll say 23-16 in a game that they kind of comfortably control throughout.
Sam Darnold, Super Bowl MVP.
No.
Right.
God.
No.
I'm saying JSN. I think we get one of the wide
Yeah.
receiver winning ones, like an Edelman sort of game. or
Oh,
something
of
like
course you're going to say JSN.
Yeah. Buckeyes.
All comes back around, baby.
Yep, of course. Ian Hartitz, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Take care.
All right, best of luck with all your
The
wagers
guy's
there.
so good. He's
Fantasy
so fun.
Life, fantasylife.com, Ian Hartitz at iHartitz over at social media. Yes, of course, it comes back to the Buckeyes. JSN, great call. He just snuck that in there without even saying anything about Ohio State. I'm glad you called about it.
I was waiting for the Buckeye love to flow again because there are not a lot of Buckeyes alive in the Final Four, believe it or not, although you do have, a lot of coaches that at some point either did some work there or played there. So it's always fun to talk to Ian, and I love the Hooper. Like the Hooper thing is right up my alley because that's a one catch winner.
Yes.
If it happens, a lot of these props, people come on our shows and other shows and they give out guys to do this over 7.5 catches or this under 200 passing yards. The Hooper one, it's either going to be, he's going to have no catches or a catch for 2 yards, or he's going to have, one big heaping over the middle grab for 11. It's going to come down to one play that will dictate. Like the year we had the use check over in the Super Bowl, right? Over 2.5, 3.5, and he had 19 on the first catch.
Every time that guy touches a football in a game, it brings you back to that moment.
Because I ran around my house. I ran around my entire house. It was, I had so much money on the fullback receiving prop. My dad's like, how much? I go, I can't tell you. He's like, come on.
And I had like what I consider a bad beat with Kyle Juszczyk too in the Super Bowl because I had 2+ touchdowns at 100-1. And that he had a rush, and I think he scored, but then they just quickly run the next play, and then it was quickly forgotten about because he had 1 touchdown earlier in the game, and that would have been the second, but did not happen. Even though I think he actually scored in that game, but it's good. Only a few games left, only 3 games left, so that'll be fun coming up on Championship Sunday. We mentioned YouTube. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying what we're putting out there. At betchickendinner over on the YouTube page. Get some merch. All this stuff, guys. There is a link on our Twitter page at chickenxdinner. It says beacons.ai/chickendinner. And the links to everything. The YouTube, the Instagram, Twitter, the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, which is blowing up. Like of anything that's been growing the most, it's been the YouTube and it's been Spotify. And also there's the direct link to the merch. I'd give the URL, but it would just confuse people as long as it is.
Wanted to just go ahead and show you visually. If you go to the Beacons page, there's everything. There's the last podcast, and then there's all the stuff, the YouTube, the merch, podcast, Instagram, Twitter, and tip sheet. So very active. We're trying to be as well-rounded as possible because we do have a lot of avenues to communicate with you. And if that wasn't enough, I decided, you know what, let's do a mailbag today. So I think without further ado, I got maybe 4 of them where I wanted to kind of throw at you. The first one is from one of our loyal listeners and one of our favorite guests on Chicken Dinner, Alex B. Smith at AX Smith Sports. What is more likely to happen in 2026? Joe betting on a hockey game or Sam eating a 100 milligram edible?
Good question.
It's very easy. This one's easy.
Have not bet on a hockey game. Have not yet in 2026. I will, but those plays usually come into playoffs because that's how sharp I am. So yeah, I mean, I will bet on hockey. I've not done any of it yet. Are you a no-go on edibles?
I'm not eating 100 again.
Do 100.
It's not happening.
Have some balls.
I've done it. I did it before.
You did 100?
Cool. Yeah, but it was a mistake. I was in Denver. I told the story on Bet Source once.
Yes.
I ate the chocolate bar and I didn't know it was 100 because I had only had chocolate bars. Remember, we're going back to 2015 or 16. So this is before it's mainstream, before everybody's doing it. Now everybody's doing it. Your parents are eating edibles and your grandma's drinking tea with weed in it. So it's like, It's a lot more common now, but 10 years ago, I ripped through, and the most I ever had, I had a chocolate bar once that was like a 20 milligram chocolate bar. And I remember eating it and being like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then I, smoked a blunt or whatever. So I get down to Denver, and my buddy Shane goes, hey, you can have whatever you want. Carte blanche. Help yourself. He gave me his key. I go to his apartment. I crack open the fridge. There's a bunch of candy bars. There's smoke. There's everything you could possibly want being a visitor in Denver, Colorado. So I ate the first chocolate bar, and I was like, oh, that wasn't nothing. Let's smoke. So then we hit the bong. And then all of a sudden, it's equivalent to when the NBA players in Space Jam lost their talents. That was me. So
For
Shane
how
gets
long?
home.
For how long?
A day. I mean,
A
easy.
whole day.
Yeah, a day.
Damn.
Because I did it at 11 o'clock or 12, and we were supposed to go to the Rockies game that night. I was asleep. There's a picture of me. It's the bottom of the first inning. I'm asleep at Coors Field, just out. Because I ate the candy bar and then did the bong, and then we're drinking, and then it just, wow. So no, I will not be doing the 100 ever again. It's a fair question, I think, on the surface, because I have this renegade persona. But no, I'm not eating 100 milligram edible, at least willingly.
I'll never forget the day I get home, I walk in, and then I quickly realize that my mom's boyfriend found the bong near the top of the garage that I thought I had stashed away that nobody would ever find. Bam, there it is, right when I walk in the house. I go, uh-oh, this isn't going to go well. It did not go well. What's this?
Nowadays, it's wild.
It's fine.
Well, my dad was the most anti-drug. If you get caught drinking, you're grounded. And then for Christmas, he slips edibles into our stockings now. So I'm like, I just can't.
Legal.
I can't.
Fine.
Yeah, well, of course. But it just, fundamentally, it's just not. It's not right, because I know if I would have gotten caught with edibles or weed when I was 16 or 18 or whatever, murder. Murdered in the backyard, murdered.
Yeah, we all know people and their parents, and it's cool now. Like, there's some people I see at the kids' games, like, yeah, I know you took something. Because you can't be that happy right now. There's no way in the world that you're that happy. I do love it. I don't think I'm speaking out of school, because Alex B. Smith puts it out there on X from time to time, especially on a Saturday, maybe before a fight or something like that. A couple weeks ago, he messaged me right before Bears-Packers, starting to get nervous. Had to grab this 250 real quick. Hashtag bear down.
Insane. I know. And then he's always like, the next day, he's always like, I'm like, well, I wonder why. Like 2 + 2 is 4. Like, did you really, you needed 250, not 50? You had to 5X it?
Dude, I'm good with 5 or 10. Like,
250. No, that's not even fun anymore. And Alex will say, oh, my tolerance is so high. Well, that's your fault too. 250s. That could feed a family of 5, a family of 10.
Share the hell.
He ain't sharing. All right. Next one is from Joe. I'm not going to read the worst one, but I will read one of them. This is from Joe McManus. What was the worst tweet, DM, text Sam got about the Bills? The worst one, and I know people are going to expect this, like, profanity-laden text or tweet, and I got plenty of those. Don't worry. But the worst one was from a buddy of mine. I don't know if I told you the story or not. I had, as I have chronicled, I had several Bills Super Bowl bets.
You did mention it the other day. Is this
I did,
where he said right away?
Yeah, the game just ended, and he goes, "Oh, thanks for that, LOL." And I was so mad, because we each went in for a dime. We had 2,000 to win. I think it was 20, and we were going to have it, we were going to cut it. And I'm talking, like, the body was still warm. There was still a pulse.
Are you done betting with that guy?
Yeah, it's over. Yeah. I just can't. I can't do that. Like, and I wanted to, like, go off, but then you lose a friend. So I'm not, and then it's my fault. Like, you started it, I finished it. Don't do that shit. Like, I lost way more than you did. And you have to understand how bad I feel. Like, there was nobody on the planet, well, maybe outside of Western New York, that felt worse than me about the Bills losing. Like, I felt bad for my own portfolio, for my friends, for our audience, for listeners, for followers. I was telling people to jump on day of the game. Like, hey, go bet this at plus 650, 7-1. So I hate losing people money. But don't text me when the clock strikes 0.
Like you're waiting on it.
It's basically in the drafts, or you cut it and you're ready to paste it. And, Allen had just thrown the ball that they called an interception, and it's so fresh. The wound is so fresh. And then you have, not to mention, the 2 PIs on Buffalo's defense.
Just
one of them was on 3rd down. It's
5 turnovers. Why didn't you predict the 5 turnovers, Sam?
Yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I mean, look, did I get a bunch of 4-eyed pussy and you're a bitch? Yeah, of course I did. But I see those all the time. It's when it's your own circle that turns on you immediately after the game.
That's brutal. It's a great question, though. I love that tweet that came in with the mailbag. Anything else worth addressing from the mailbag? I saw a bunch of people were sending notes.
Yeah. So the last one that I wanted to get to, I got to find it here. We do have a couple hedge questions as well that I wanted to get to. This is from Finky. So let me just pull it up and cue it. He wanted to talk about NIL. Has NIL actually diluted college football power teams, i.e. Indiana being the best team but having less top prospects? Players used to go places to build a team up because you had a chance to win a national title. Now it's whoever pays more. So do you think, Joe, that NIL has diluted the blue bloods of the world?
The power conferences are still winning championships. But oh, hell yeah, there's not that gap. There used to be that gap. It was a short list of teams that could win the championship. Now it's a long list. Now Indiana's part of the dance. Now we're like, oh, Texas Tech got another new quarterback. Let's see what they can do with all the money that they're spending on defense, and they make the playoff this year. Yeah, they've been pushed down, and then those in the middle have been pushed up. It's now a level playing field, almost. I still don't need to see the teams that made 11 and the 12 seeds this year. I don't need to see those teams in the tournament. But as far as talking the power conferences, bringing the top teams down a little bit and those in the middle up, that absolutely happened. And now the list of teams on a year-to-year basis that can win the championship, it's probably double digits.
So you're never going to see another Saban Alabama run. That's never going to happen again, because it was very obvious what was going on for a long time there. And then everybody started to catch up, and then Saban saw the freight train coming and said, I'm good. But at the same time, if you go to the betting board and you look at, the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, I'm going to share the Vegas Insider. You got Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, Georgia, LSU. Indiana and Tech are not blue bloods, technically speaking, but Indiana has maybe the best coach in the country, and Texas Tech is spending money like crazy. They're spending all that oil money on NIL and the portal and recruiting and all that. So I don't know. I mean, it's a good question, obviously. I don't know that it completely diluted, because 6 of the top 8 are blue bloods. No, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, Georgia, LSU.
But what did you say? It's more flat at the top?
It's definitely more even. It's definitely more fair, and there's definitely more ways for other teams to win, of course.
Correct. 100%. You mentioned Saban. It's very difficult for me not to think about him getting all upset at Shane Gillis on stage.
Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Or Alabama Jones.
Alabama Jones. He's like, oh, you saying Alabama didn't pay players? He went off. And I guess it continued into the break too. If you hear Shea Gillis tell the story, it's absolutely hilarious because you got to get off that stage that they were on. And everybody else already left. Herb Street, everybody else that was at the stage, McAfee, they're gone. And then Gillis is down there, and Saban needs somebody to lend him a hand to get down off the stage. And the only one standing there is Gillis. And he did not want to grab his hand. It's like,
So good.
So,
We got a couple questions about hedging, and I didn't really want to do this ahead of time, and maybe we should have. Maybe we would have had better answers here, but I didn't. I swear I have no notes on this, and you don't even know the stipulations. So Kay Hilmers came in and commented on our show with Lawrence, which did a really, really solid job in every way. He's got an 80-1 ticket on the Rams over the Pats in the Super Bowl. 80-1. So he comments, do I take some Seahawks over Pats and then maybe just put a little on the Pats if they win? I guess he's kind of pushing the Broncos to the side. The problem is there's no right way to hedge this. Obviously, if the Broncos win, they're going to be a huge dog, but he's got that exacta box. It has to be the Rams to beat the Patriots. I mean, I guess if we broke it all down, you could bet a little on the other options, but I'd hate for him to make all these bets and then the Rams to beat the Pats. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you know how I roll. I would probably hold. But if you are looking to make some sort of a hedge, what do you do? Well, you need an exact result in a Super Bowl, and there's 4 teams left. Like, there's nothing perfect. You could lose this, and you could lose the hedge, right? Like, Denver pulls off the upset, that blows up both tickets. Like, do you want to be in that position? I would not. I would try to wait. And I understand his confidence that New England's going to get to the Super Bowl. You've got the 5.5-point favorite. But I think with these Super Bowl exactas, when you're in the Final Four, there's really not a whole lot you can do that is a true hedge. So I would hold out. The Rams can absolutely win that game. 100% they can win that game. So I would hold out, and whatever happens, happens. But that's what I do. What would you do if you were looking to hedge? Would you do anything, or would you just say, okay, you can do a little Seattle Super Bowl or something like that?
Yeah. So again, we're doing this on the fly because I think it's a much better exercise. Let's show you this. This is the FanDuel market, and we're only going to do FanDuel because I know they have this up. This is the exact result market. Mm-hmm. So you have how many options now? 6 options. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got one of them for 80 units, potentially, if it were to hit. So, I mean, could he technically take a couple units on the other 5? Yes, you could. But I don't think Kay Hilmers is going to want to bet Broncos to beat the Rams and Broncos to beat the Seahawks. So if you cross those 2 off, then you got, Rams to beat Broncos.
What's Seattle, New England?
Seattle they don't even have Seattle to beat New England. That's interesting.
It's not at the top? The 2 favorites?
I don't see it at all. Do you see it? I see Broncos to beat Seahawks and Patriots to beat Seahawks. They don't have any of the exactas up with Seattle winning. Huh. Oh, wait, I got to hit show more. 8 ways. Duh. Dumbass. That's on me.
Well, you would think it would be at the top.
Yeah, that's strange. Okay, so Seattle to beat New England is plus 280. And then Seattle to beat Denver is plus 490. I don't know. See, it just gets too complex. I personally wouldn't do anything. There will be somebody, though, that has this bet that just bets all the other exactas and then just tries to eke out a profit. I think he's got a good ticket. You got a 2.5-point dog and you got a 5-point favorite. Now, I don't necessarily like the Patriots in the game, but I don't have an 80-1 ticket. So, yeah, I wouldn't get too crazy. I mean, you made the bet at 80-1. I wouldn't do anything personally.
Yeah, if you take Seattle, New England, the only thing that blows it up this weekend is Denver winning outright. Now, maybe you feel great about that. Okay, I wouldn't. It's 5.5. It's not 14. And we've seen dogs of like 14 losing the Super Bowl. I don't know, like the Giants over the Patriots. Come on, you've watched this league long enough, so I wouldn't go into it thinking there's no way that the Denver Broncos with a solid defense is going to win at home. I wouldn't do that, but I would do nothing.
Yeah, it's so much more complex because you need not only both teams, but you need the exact result. That's why it becomes so difficult. The second question is a little bit cleaner of a situation. Mikey Betts came into one of our threads and said, question for your show later this week. I know how you guys generally feel about hedging, but I have Rams 22-1 Super Bowl and 11-1 NFC. I feel like Seahawks Rams have been trending differently, so I'd like to get off a little bit of my Rams. Thinking about Seattle to win the Super Bowl at plus 150. I think the NFC wins the Super Bowl. Thoughts? ?
Okay. Yeah, I think the obvious move is Seattle's Super Bowl. But what if you went
What if the Patriots win the Super Bowl?
I was just going to say, what if you went New England? Because there's a decent chance you have the 2 Super Bowl teams if you take New England.
Yeah, so you're saying like a bet on Seattle and then a separate bet on New England to win the whole thing?
Yeah, or what if you just did New England?
And then Denver, what the problem is, what happens if
Seattle.
Jared Stidham wins the Super Bowl? Oh no, what if Denver wins it? Then you have your Rams bets and you hedged with Seattle and New England and Denver wins it all.
Let's start with the NFC bet. 11-1 LA Rams. Are you hedging that in any way?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think you're good there. They've beaten them this year. They put up almost 600 yards last time they played. I'm not saying I'm guaranteeing a Rams win, but that game's a coin flip to me.
I think, again, thinking about this on the fly, maybe next time I should do a better job and I should give you the question ahead of time and I should do my math ahead of time. I mean, your cleanest out point is just make a sizable bet on the Seahawks to win Sunday.
Yep.
Right? So if
you would do that instead of Seahawks Super Bowl?
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing, I don't know. Because like for a fact you're going to win something. If you have an 11-1 ticket on the Rams and Seattle's a 2.5 point favorite, so they're minus 150 or so on the money line.
Well, and he established that his opinion is, and it's important, like his opinion is the NFC's winning the Super Bowl.
You can lay $1.40, $1.40, $1.45, $1.45. It's not that expensive. And then if Seattle would say you put 3 units or 4 units on Seattle just to win the game, and Seattle wins the game, you've made money. Because I'm going to guess these Ram bets are a unit and a unit. So if you make a 4-unit bet on Seattle wins the game, you win 2 units. Seattle loses the game, you win the 11-1, and then you lose the 4 units plus the juice. But then you get the Rams at 22-1, which you could free roll.
I haven't looked at the number, but you always have that Super Bowl prop. NFC or AFC. You could do that too. Just bet NFC.
Well, the NFC is going to be favored because at the least they're going to be a 3.5 point favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially now that we've got a clearer picture of everything. Now you go a little bit ago, you go in the regular season, which is probably not 3.5, and maybe it's 2.5.
The problem there is if he's got Rams and you bet NFC, what if the Patriots win the Super Bowl? Again, you're not guaranteeing anything. You guarantee yourself something if you bet Seattle money line on Sunday.
A true hedge. A true hedge.
If you're looking to hedge, that's your hedge.
Yep.
Because you don't have to make, like Kevin Hilmers has to make 5 bets to guarantee a profit.
Well, and
it's still not guaranteed.
So we were getting some questions on Monday night's championship too. And we gave them the advice that we would have gone with. But you know what? The way that game played out, there was never that opportunity. Miami never took the lead. So if you're holding a Miami ticket, you couldn't really jump in if you were looking at that live market. Like sometimes those opportunities never arise if you're going to do something live.
there are worse positions to have than the Rams 11-1 NFC and 22-1 Super Bowl, because they could easily win this game. But I think the path of least resistance is to bet Seattle money line. You figure out how much you're willing to risk of that 11-1 and go from there.
All right. Sounds good. Let's wrap with our best bets for Championship Sunday. So it's the last time we're going to record on a Sunday night. Is that what we're thinking? People
I
have
will
no
not be
idea.
recording Super Bowl Sunday. Nope. I'm doing the cookout at the house. I will not be tolerant by the end of the game.
People have no idea. So when we jump on Sunday night after the playoffs are a wrap, that means our entire Sunday/Monday's wrecked.
Monday's dead.
We're up all night editing and, getting stuff ready for social and stuff like that. I mean, glad to do it, and it's done well. But damn, Monday's like a lost day. I'm just walking around dizzy.
I went to bed on Monday morning. Not that anybody's going to cry for us, because we're not out there chopping wood or moving bedrock or anything. But by the time we got done, because remember, Chicago and LA goes to overtime, and Joe's like, we'll be good by 11 Eastern. And then Caleb makes the throw, and Joe's like, my bad. And then we had to line up Lawrence, who stayed up later than I think he wanted to. Not that he would ever complain about it. But by the time we got done taping, it's 12:30 Eastern. And then the editing process for you is longer than it is for me. I don't think I fell asleep until 4 Eastern a.m.
Yeah, 4 Central here.
And then at 8 in the morning, Tucker the dog.
No, it was wife and daughter screaming at the top of their lungs at each other.
Oh, good.
They were downstairs, but it sounded like they were in the bedroom. Yeah, that made me happy. I let them know how I felt about the situation. And I slammed the door and tried to go back to bed, but now I'm done. Now I'm up. Now I can't go back to bed.
Yeah, you can't reverse anger. Most people, I mean, look, a sociopath could be angry and then fall right asleep, right? A sociopath falls asleep in prison after murder. Most people, when they're sleeping and they're woken and they get upset, you can't go back to bed. It's over.
Nope. And we'll have a repeat on Friday because it is Wednesday. Already announced. E-learning, school from home, because the temps are going to be a wind chill, like negative 25 degrees, man. It's legit. All right, fine. Just go on your computer and accomplish nothing all day. I totally get it that nobody wants to leave their house because it's negative 25 outside.
Can I read you the Super Bowl menu, by the way? I put it together for what we're going to have here at the house. Yeah. Okay. So a couple buddies and I have concocted this menu. So we're going to start with the pulled pork. That'll be the star of the show, which will be.
When is that going on?
Well, I'd like to pull it by about 2:00 and let it rest for 3 hours, because kickoff is what, 6:30 Eastern, I think.
Yep, that's what.
So I'd like to pull it at 2. So if we're going to back time it, that's 12 hours is 2 in the morning, and then another 3 hours is 11:00 p.m.
Right before you go to bed. Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know what time you're going to bed, but yeah, that night you've got to put it on.
Yeah, 10 or 11 o'clock at night. It'll sit for about 15 hours, and then I'll pull it and let it rest in a cooler for 3 hours, and then it'll just fall apart by 5 o'clock, and then you eat at 5:30, and then the game starts at 6:30. Mm-hmm. So the pulled pork will be the star, which will then be featured on either a sandwich or a fork or just your hands, whatever you feel kosher about. And then my buddy Scal, who makes the pizzas, is coming by to do the pulled pork pizza again, because he makes those Detroit style pizzas. Oh. I know you've seen them before. So he takes the pork, puts it on the pizza, and instead of tomato sauce, it's barbecue sauce. So it's very, very good. Burnt ends, chicken wings, the baked beans, cheeseburger, mac and cheese, and then Brussels sprouts, corn on the cob.
You guys need some protein. Not enough protein there.
Well, somebody said, we need a veggie. We need a green. I'm like, all right, why? Brussels sprouts. Fine.
Why? Who said that? Who said we need a green? That is a female, right? No man said that.
One man did say we need a green. He's lying to himself, right? It's like the guy that goes to the McDonald's and gets the triple cheese, the large fried Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
Yeah, that'll save it. That'll save everything. But that's the menu. Joe, if you'd like to make the trip out, we'd be happy to host.
Whew, man, very jealous. I'm looking
Tucker the dog. Tucker the dog would love my cookout.
Go to town. He'd go to freaking town. Yeah, I know. It's disaster. What did he take last night that I had up there? Oh, it was. I would have been fine if he would have had it. It was like the grizzle from the ribeye last night.
Oh,
was
that's
up on the counter. Yeah, go ahead. It's yours anyways. I was going to throw it in your bowl, but yeah, he made his way up to the counter to grab that one. All right, let's wrap with best bets. Championship Sunday. Where you at?
You can take 5.5 at multiple books right now, including DraftKings. I know most people have DraftKings or FanDuel, but here's the difference. DraftKings has 5.5. FanDuel has 4.5. I don't know that we get to 6, and I do see some sharp shops like Westgate and Circa at 4.5. Bet Online 4.5. Paradise Wager 4.5. I feel good about playing Denver right now at plus 5.5. And I will also tease both dogs. Denver up. I have one book that's letting me do Denver plus 11 and LA plus 8.5 at minus 120. Ship it.
Love that teaser option. Love it. I mean, we're getting plus 8.5 on the game. That's probably going to be close. The divisional matchup that twice we saw it was inside of a field goal. I think that's a really good look. The show bet is Broncos. I knew it was going to be the show bet. There's no doubt about it. Horvey even gave it out yesterday. So he's on the Broncos.
No.
Yeah.
Last time Horvey and I agreed we had Oregon against Indiana.
But he does like Seattle, which I told him I couldn't get there. I was leaning Rams on that.
Well, that's because we hate Seattle because we didn't fire 30-1.
Yeah, I really hope they lose.
Okay.
I do. But I'm not.
So you'll love that teaser.
Yes. I
Just
do.
don't do it at Fanatics at minus 170.
Are you kidding me? They have a minus. Everybody went way up, right? All the domestic books, but 170, like that is such a dick move. Like I know they're saying
you can't win if you do that.
We don't want to take your action. I get it. That's the normal reaction. You're just being an asshole by doing that. 170. Oh my God.
The best place to do teasers, and we can say this now because we're not working for the BetMGM network. You can do with the offshores or with a local, they'll let you do minus 120 or minus 125 teasers.
Yeah, which domestic books do that? The Caesars still do that? I think they do.
Somebody said the cheapest teaser is like $1.40 now, I think.
That's not true. Really?
Somebody's got $1.30?
I know last year there were a number of them that were minus 120, but I know certainly
I find it hard to believe because the teasers killed the books last year. The 24-25 season, 25 Super Bowl season, I guess. They got destroyed because the long teasers were insane. And mostly the favorite teasers. 7 down to 1, 8 down to 2, 9 down to 3, even though that's not exactly mathematically sexy. A lot of those, because remember the favorites won at like a 71% clip last year.
Right.
So imagine if you were a favorite teaser player, you just rolled these books. So minus 120 feels far gone in the American markets.
Yeah. DK was 120 last year and they're now minus 135.
Yep.
If you're still allowed to bet there, a lot of them are in that 135 to 140 range. You have to go offshore. Now, offshore, you can find some pretty good prices still, but that's about it. That's the only spot. Broncos plus 5.5. That's a show bet. I love the teaser. That's your bet though, but I'll roll with you on that for sure. And I'm going to go Kenneth Walker longest rush over 16.5. They crushed all the numbers. They know people are going to bet these Walker props, so they boosted them way beyond what they should be. But I'm going to go with longest rush with Walker there. And I'm going to watch that game. If it's low scoring early, I'll jump on a live over. If that total starts dropping in that game, that's one of those games, and we've seen it so many times. We saw it in the college playoffs a bunch, and then we've seen it in the NFL playoffs too, quite frankly, where, you just need one quarter in that game and it can go haywire in that matchup. So I'll be watching there for something on Live Total. But as far as pregame Denver and Kenneth Walker, longest rush. All right. So we'll be recording late Sunday night, and it'll be ready for everybody on Monday morning, Sammy.
Cannot wait, buddy. Let's go. Jared Stidham time. Let's go.